Hey everyone, I'm Rather Coherent, and over the next week, I'll be doing a lot of deck techs on all the different characters I've been playing off the camera recently. Before I get into this deck, I want to mention that if you want links to this deck and all the other decks I played, the ones that weren't garbage at least, as well as a bunch of my theory crafts, I do have a community Discord and there's a channel with all my decks posted on that. Now, getting back to the parallel Zoey at hand, this is half parallel. I'm specifically only using the parallel front, because as I looked at parallel Zoey, I don't think original Zoey's front really offered very much. The resources are nice, and if you're spamming the cross, then, you know, they're getting something. But typically, resources later are worth less than resources sooner. And I much prefer having the ability to get some free Vicious Blows. I personally believe that this is the strongest way to build Zoey Samaras, that her original front didn't offer her very much, and that by playing with her vanilla back, she's a much better fighter than if you take her parallel back. A huge part of that is Runic Axe, but even without Runic Axe, if this were removed from the game, there'd be other better blue 5 ways of fighting that you get from blue 0 to 3. Now, there are two very important things here. This deck originally ran Sparrow Mask as a proxy for Wolf Mask. I'm obviously not running that anymore, but it is not actually running Holy Rosary. This is a proxy for the new card Ancestral Token. This card is absolutely busted. I looked at this and I knew it was going to be good. It's a 3-cost accessory with 2 Horror Soak, so in the vein of those Holy Rosary type accessories. But this one has reaction after you defeat an enemy, exhaust Ancestral Token, add blesses equal to the enemy's. Why am I showing you my shitty note of it? 1 second. Here, isn't that so much better than my bad text summary? 3-cost accessory, 2 Horror Soak, reaction after you defeat an enemy, exhaust Ancestral Token, add blesses to the token bag equal to the enemy's printed health max 5. Now, this is obviously going to be campaign and scenario dependent to some degree, but in Innsmouth, for instance, I could not get blesses out of the bag fast enough in a 3-man team. It was normal for me to use Nephthys to deal 2 damage, and then use Ancestral Token of my ability to just put the 3 blesses back into the bag, because there was no reason not to, because we had fucking all of the blesses in the bag, except for the 3 on Nephthys. It happened constantly. This puts an ungodly number of bless tokens in the bag, to the point that pretty much any bless team wants a Guardian fighter, and there's an argument that because this is so core to filling the bag, that the best bless enabler is actually Mark Harrigan, because he's going to draw this more reliably than anyone else. I think this did really well. I should probably show off the axe. It is the standard fighter axe. And if you don't know, the standard fighter axe is Saga to get 2 charges per turn instead of 1, Script Creeper so that every charge is worth +2 to hit and +1 to damage, and then Ancient Power so that if you need to kill a big 3 health enemy, you just spend an extra charge instead of spending an extra attack. And when you're running any 2-handed weapon, the best backup weapon in the game is a Brandigathuga. For 1 experience, this lets you attack at solid numbers a good number of times. If you only need to deal 1 damage to, say, a cultist or to a rat your Kluber drew, you can attack over with Brandigathuga. It's all very, very solid. Brandigathuga is easily the best backup weapon for anything taking up your hand slot, so obviously it's here. Nephthys is here because if I'm the only one putting blesses in the bag and the only one using blesses, in my case, my team didn't want blesses at all. That's actually why I picked Bless Zoey. I wanted to see how good she was at enabling the archetype and how good she was without anyone else capitalizing on her. And the answer is like really, really good, actually. I am strongly of the opinion that if Bless builds take off, Bless Zoey is moving up the tier list. And my previous ranking for her, all my investigator rankings, is accurate to her power level with no one giving a shit about her whatsoever. And then like the rest of the deck's pretty much like exactly what you would expect. Oh, there's another proxy here. I didn't even write it in my notes. This isn't Long Shot, that's Strong Armed. If you don't know, let's go find it. This is Strong Armed. It commits for a fist. If you're using a melee asset, like a Runic Axe, it gives +1 damage. And the big one is that after you reveal a token, you can take 1 damage to cancel the token and reveal a new one any number of times. Technically, these are separate clauses, so you can commit this to like a Foot Treachery and then cancel the token. Those are not requiring, by my reading at least, to be on a melee or ranged asset. This was always so that if my teammate drew Deep Wind Bowl, I swing over with Runic Axe, spend 3 charges for 4 damage, Strong Arm for 5, and I just negate the autofail to kill in 1 guaranteed. Every time I did that, I didn't draw the autofail. This card actually was just Vicious Blow that cost 1 experience when I played it, but it made me safe to make those plays. You can't risk an autofail and 5 damage to your teammate, that's killing them. So Strong Armed is a really, really good card that absolutely earned its spot in this deck. And it explains to you why Long Shot might be here. It does kind of need to get summarized. Can't just gloss over the red card that's not allowed in my deck, huh? But yeah, this is just a pretty standard fighter. I'm adding blesses with my ability, I'm adding blesses with the Ancestral Token, I'm digging really hard with my flex cards to get the Runic Axe and to get the Nephthys and to get the Ancestral Token, and even to get Safeguard too. That's a very important card for any main fighter. My team, I said, didn't want me to do anything other than main fight. They didn't care about blesses. It was a flex Preston that went very hard towards Clover, and a flex Monterey that went very hard towards Clover. I was basically main fighter for all of Innsmouth, and I think there was like maybe 1 or 2 points where I struggled. It was like really impressive. There were multiple turns where I would like do that axe play I was talking about to kill a 5 health guy someone else had. Then I would Radiant Smite with my ability for 5 damage on something engaged with me, and then I'd like swing again with Runic Axe or Bandit Kathaga and not do anything impressive with the last action. But the burst on this character, because Radiant Smite is just enabled. The Bless was bag, let's try that again. The Bless bag was always filled, so Radiant Smite was always active to the point where I could easily, whenever I wanted to, use my ability and Radiant Smite. I might even think better of this character, except that everything I say about Nephthys getting used was based on the last scenario, because even though I bought her in scenario 5, I drew her outside of my bottom 5 only in one of the remaining 4 scenarios in the game. I just didn't have good RNG with actually drawing and getting to use Nephthys, and typically I saw a ton of 3 health and 1 health enemies, not so many where her ability was actually meaningfully better than beat cops. Like, my Nephthys RNG felt pretty bad, like she underperformed, but I do like being able to keep the blesses in the bag when my teammates are pulling them, although my Preston trying to fail test for look what I found didn't appreciate it greatly. But yeah, I was very, very happy with this stack. I think this is a really strong way to build Zoey, one of the better ways to enable Bless for a team. Probably the best one, unless the Mark Harrigan deck I speculated about actually works, which it probably does because Mark is busted, but I haven't tested that yet. And no deck tech is complete, only showing a 49 experience final deck. Let's talk about where we started, and that would be this deck. We are running Sparrow Mask as a stand-in for the new Wolf Mask, because +2 fist or foot, we don't care about the foot at all, but +2 fist on a 4 fist fighter that's not running any fist bumps is really important. If you need to break down a locked door, if you need to beat the bag on an important attack, Wolf Mask just offers you a lot of recursive bumps. You get charges every time you engage something, so, you know, doing your job, it's basically unlimited overpower. It was really, really solid until much later in the campaign, and when I upgraded out of it, I found myself missing it frequently. So this Wolf Mask performed really, really well. Even at those early levels, even though I could only capitalize on them with my ability, I didn't have Radiant Smite, I didn't have Nephthys, I was putting an ungodly number of blesses on the bag. My team wasn't, they didn't care about it, but like I was still doing it. And then aside from that, it's like, yeah, it's a Guardian fighter, they upgrade basically 1-to-1. Toe-to-toe is my level 0 stand-in for Radiant Smite, because at level 0 I don't have strong armed, I can't swing over. So this is my plan for dealing with 2 HP deep ones that are all my teammates, so I don't have to engage them. Because, like, you know, the more often you engage deep ones, the harder you make the campaign on yourself, and toe-to-toe is just generally a good card anyway. It's exactly what you would expect the level 0 variant to be. There's a very good argument instead of running 2 machetes, I should have run 2 enchanted blades because I'm in Innsmouth, but I didn't think about that at the time, and I regretted it tremendously at multiple points. But on the whole, since I was more or less 3-man fighting for my team, I wasn't getting a ton of support out of them. Monterey would sometimes have his bullwhip, and Preston would sometimes have his fire axe. But for the majority of this campaign, all of the fighting was on Zoey, and I felt very happy with how she performed. She's not quite at Nat Show level all the time, but she is at Nat Show level when like you're dealing with the enemy pile-up, when it really counts, when you're blowing all your resources. I was very impressed with her as crisis management. I was beyond impressed with, like, really Ancestral Token, but this deck as a whole, in terms of putting blesses in the bag, I felt very safe to the Mythos phase with Promise of Power and Take the Initiative. I was just very happy with everything about this Zoey deck, and I encourage you to try out something like it. Anyway, that's it for now, and I need to figure out what I'm doing for Patreon credits, because there's 4 of you now, and it's occurring to me that there are too many names to actually name them all every single video, and if I actually become a successful YouTube channel, that problem will only get worse. So, thank you to everyone who's currently subbed to my Patreon. There'll be some form of credits after this, and I'm going to figure out what that is before the next video. Also, thank you to everyone else who's watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Forgive me if I sound tired, this is editing Nick. This video goes live in like 5 hours, so I need to get it done. And when I was doing the credits just now for Patreon, I was like, wait a second, what the hell is this? Because apparently, because I never go to this screen, because I don't need to see this information. I set it up, I'm done with it. And like, I've never come back here to this specific page. When you look at these membership tiers, the original art you just saw, the original text you just saw with its appropriate stylizations, it's just like zoomed in and changed now. There used to be like 3 columns and I made these specifically to fit in correctly. Then apparently it got changed, so fuck me, I guess. I'll fix that in the near future. Add that to the laundry list of shit that I don't want to do but need to handle. Oh, and for anyone who's wondering what you get for subbing to my Patreon, it's precisely fuck all. I greatly appreciate it. probably more because you don't get anything for doing it. In the future, I really should like have Patreon have some associated benefit, but because I struggle enough keeping this channel running as it is, committing to some sort of benefit for Patreon when my channel takes random month-long hiatuses all the time, that feels like it feels a lot worse to go on hiatus unannounced when you have money involved, right? Anyway, I'm sleepy. This is bullshit. I don't know why it looks this way. Just wanted to mention that before I wrapped up the video. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.